All right, it's time for the summer series here. We are moving into a way more low-key vibe. We're talking through some Hot Topic Tuesdays. We're going to get into the AAU. What does that mean for some of our ACC schools and the eligibility of whether or not they can join the Big Ten, the SEC, and all of the like. More importantly than that, we're going to talk a little basketball. What will Kenny Payne do in year two? I don't know, but it should be a good one. All of your questions, or some of them, majority of them, answered here on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe, and hit that YouTube page subscription as well. We know that 1K is good, but 2K is even better. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more by visiting FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. Kenton Gibbs here. We're talking through your hot topics of Tuesday. As we remind you guys, this is summer, so we get a little break. We have 3 episodes a week as opposed to once every single day. But that gives you an opportunity to catch up because we know sometimes it can be challenging to listen to episodes every single day. We appreciate our everydayers, but we definitely know it can get a little challenging. So make sure you catch up. All the topics that we've talked about this summer. We're getting ready for football season. We're getting ready for ACC kickoff. So we don't want you to miss a single moment here on the Locked On ACC show. Kenton, how are you feeling?
I feel great as always. I'm ready to get into it and talk about these summer topics because our listeners have asked for a very eclectic group of topics, and I'm excited to get into all of them.
Yes, one that we want to focus on here today. We're talking about the AAU and the ACC schools that are in it. I know you're thinking AAU. We're definitely talking about some basketball here, some tournaments that never end when it comes to some high school hoops, but not quite in this regards. And why it's important because the ACC, the Big Ten, and our other Power 5 conferences might have a little stipulations in order to join them that could affect those who may be looking to secede out of our conference. Let's get into it, Kenton.
Absolutely. So the AAU that we're referring to here is the American Association of Universities. It is a very prestigious group of 71 universities. There have only been, I want to say, 75 or 76 all time in terms of universities that were in it. And this is a situation where the Big Ten has a requirement that you are in the AAU if you want to apply for and be accepted into membership in the Big Ten. Now, don't get me wrong. We've seen this in the past where schools have changed their rules and whatnot around for players to come in and all that. And I'm sure that when you're talking the logistics of tens of millions of dollars based on these schools coming, I'm sure that there would just as easily be a write-up in the new rules or bylaws to say, hey, we can accept schools that are not in the AAU to come to our conference. But the reality is, as it stands right now, as the words are written on the rule book, try saying that 5 times fast. Right now, certain teams just cannot go. We all talk about what would realignment look like, where would we go and all that. Well, there are certain places that some of us just can't go. As the Saints would say, everybody ain't able. And that's the reality we're looking at here.
So who right now is in the AAU in terms of ACC programs?
You know what's so interesting about that? There are exactly 7 teams in the ACC that are in the AAU. However, it doesn't match up with the Magnificent 7 that we talked about. There is Duke, Georgia Tech, Miami, UNC, Notre Dame, Pitt, and UVA, all in the AAU.
So I would think that Pitt, a team that certainly has, some holding power in terms of they could certainly thrive in the Big Ten, or they definitely are thriving here in the ACC. Why weren't they in conversations about seceding? Maybe they're just happy where their home is, or maybe they, aren't having the right conversations, or maybe they're going to be the one who surprises everybody and leaves when it's all said and done.
I mean, the thing is, again, I've said this before and I've said it a million times. These teams are not held together because they like each other. This is a contractual obligation. And I have said all along, I don't understand what the argument is or what power these teams think they have. But I guarantee you, it's like when people tell me, well, hey, Ken, all of the folks working from home, the businesses are going to outsource your jobs. If they could have, they would have already. If they could have, they would have, because these folks want to get paid. They want their bottom lines to be as high as possible. If you're looking at a situation where these universities could have already left to another, job, or could have left to another conference and made tens of millions more, we're talking about the massive gap between the Big Ten, SEC, and everybody else in terms of revenue shares. If you don't think that these teams would have left to boost their athletic funding by tens of millions of dollars already, if there was an avenue to do so, I promise you, I have an oceanfront property. I have multiple oceanfront properties to sell you in Detroit, Michigan, and Raleigh, North Carolina. Don't ask me where they are. Just give me the money first, since clearly you don't have any understanding of how money goes and you need me to manage it. So give me the money and I'll give you the oceanfront properties in those cities.
Good. So basically, like, there are people here. I 100% get that we're not all friends here. I would think, this. I'm not naive enough to think it's all Pollyanna. We're not all trying to chase the almighty dollar and trying to get the biggest deals and best opportunities for respective universities. In my mind, though, there are some teams that are certainly tied together. And we mentioned the Magnificent Seven at the time, and North Carolina was certainly one of them. Virginia was the other. But when you talk about the AAU, Virginia Tech and NC State aren't on that list, and they were part of the Magnificent Seven. And in my mind, those schools are tied together because of financial reasons, not only for, the ACC, but also because of their states.
Yeah, and even for those schools, it goes beyond financial. That's a state legislature problem. These are public universities in these states. So you would have to, even if you get past the financial hurdle or whatever the case may be, these state legislatures still have to make that decision.
Yeah.
The difference between Pitt and Penn State being in two different conferences is that one is public, one is private. So it makes sense. You can kind of make sense of how that ends up or happening, or not even that one is public, one is private. Let me refrain from saying that. Their state legislature agreed to allow those two to go their separate ways in terms of conferences. I don't think that these other states are going to look at Pitt and Penn State and say, like, hey, I think it's perfectly fine to let everybody go where they want to go. I highly doubt that happens in Virginia. I highly doubt that happens in the state of North Carolina. So
yeah, absolutely. They're never going to say screw the Commonwealth. They're never going to not want to have that battle between the grocery store and Harris Teeter with NC State and North Carolina. They're never going to not want that. They're never going to allow, I personally believe, them to not share the same sort of entity. But we also mentioned teams like Miami and Notre Dame, the private ones who have opportunities to leave if they wanted to. And we've been dancing all along with, are they going to build themselves up? And now, you have Notre Dame, who clearly has been in the mix because of the brand power and positioning that they have. They could go anywhere. I understand the independence. Yep, whatever word I'm trying to say there, trying to make that happen. But for Miami, I think they probably have the most tricky dance in all of this, because right now, from a brand position, bar none, we get it. It's the U, blah, blah, blah. But from like actual winning, elevating, are you going to make the Big Ten better by joining? That's a conversation that I think, Big Ten commissioner might flirt with if I really want to have you. But because I'm in the AAU, certainly can entertain it.
Not only that, it's a situation where do you have the funds to pay out this amount?
Yeah.
The exit fee, the exit ticket. Because if you don't get, some people are saying, well, if all these teams succeed, then the ACC ceases to exist, and all of a sudden the deals go away. And I'm like, okay, sure. Show me where it says that in these contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're talking as if the ACC is like this weak and feeble conference and all that. They have lawyers on retainer that make millions of dollars for a reason.
Sure.
I don't think that, oh yeah, these teams succeed, bye, it's over now. I don't think that that's how it works. But I could be wrong there. And so even if you're talking about Miami as an individual team, are you ready to pay that, 9-figure payout,
Mm-hmm.
and then go to whatever conference and still have part of your rights be retained by the ACC? Are you ready to do that? Even if we're talking the AAU here, that's tricky. It's tricky. A lot of this stuff, And here's the other thing about this, because we are talking in hypotheticals so much, I will also say this and acknowledge I am not omnipotent. I am not omniscient and know everything all at once. I don't know how strong or how weak all of these different things and all of these different turning and spinning wheels are. It could very much so be that, oh yeah, these teams succeed from the ACC and they disappear, and that's everybody's free and clear, sure. But then you'd have to talk about all of the teams succeeding. Do they have a landing spot where they all know that they're going to be getting paid more than they would in the ACC?
Yeah, 100% agree. Let's pay some bills right quick. We got our FanDuel friends happening right now. There is the NBA playoffs, NBA championship game. We've got Miami Heat facing off against the Denver Nuggets. And we know you want to get in on that action. Right now, you get a new customer no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on. Get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So you know how yesterday JJ Redick, former Duke star, was talking about Kendrick Perkins and how he was humming in his ear and moaning in the ear?
Mm-hmm.
I think you were. I don't know if you have the Temptations vibe going on this morning, but you're similar. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
AAU, ACC, all of it means what at the end of the day? I think, we're hitting our Hot Topic Tuesday. We're making sure that we're all good to go when it comes to trying to answer your questions. But I think the reality of it is somebody's going to catch us off guard. Somebody's going to hit that, we're moving where we didn't see it coming. And some teams just don't have the means to do it, and they've been chalking it up and selling us a bill of goods this whole time. And I think we just sort of have to see where the pieces fall and operate from there. But I don't see it happening within the next 2 or 3 years, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you this, and I'm going to leave it here until the amount that the universities are losing or until that amount is quantifiably higher in 2 to 3 years than what it would cost to leave, or at least close to that. I highly doubt that we see any movement. I highly doubt it. I struggle to see a way out in terms of, these teams up and deciding to leave. And everybody, I appreciate the fact that, now all of a sudden everyone has gone to law school, has gotten their JD. Everybody has done accounting now at a high level. More power to you. I will tell you, I haven't, which is why I'm saying the things that I'm saying are based off common sense and what I've seen. Okay. The things I'm saying are based off the best predictor of future behaviors is the past. And if we look at teams who have left their conferences recently, right? You talk about USC and UCLA. Did they pay to get out, or was their contract and all that with their conference up and then they left?
Yeah.
You talk about Texas A&M. Did they pay to get out, or was their TV contract up and they left? Oklahoma and Texas. Did they pay to get out, or was their contract up and they simply said, hey, all right, we're not going to renew with y'all. It's been real. It's been fun. Which of these schools have paid a dime to get out? I'd love to know.
So the real enemy is John Swofford.
It depends on how you're looking at it, because I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this, right? In every story, it's depending on whose point of view you're looking at, that'll tell you who's the hero or the villain. If you're looking at this from Florida State's view, Clemson's view, yeah, Swofford's the villain. Swofford is for sure the villain that's holding you back from touching big time M's. If you're looking at it from some of the top brands in the conference, absolutely. However, if you're looking at this from the standpoint of let's say, Georgia Tech, if you're looking at this from the standpoint of let's say, Virginia Tech,
Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest. If you're looking at this from the standpoint of those smaller brands, while everybody can lie and say, "Oh, we know for a fact we have the fan base, and our this team is good, and that team is good, our baseball team is great, our football team is great, it doesn't matter how great they are if they don't have the brand recognition. Doesn't matter how great they are if they're not filling up a stadium of 40,000, 30,000, whatever the case may be, 20,000 every week. It doesn't matter. So to some teams, they're the hero. Some teams, they're the villain. And I'll tell you this much, from the ACC standpoint, and everybody who's up at those corporate headquarters, Swafford is the hero of all heroes. He is the Avengers of the thing. He's Earth's mightiest hero to them because he has kept all of them with a job for at least the next foreseeable decade or so.
That's fair, but maybe the real villain is, our football programs and not elevating and not winning enough and not putting enough money into recruiting and not getting a lot of people in their respective home states to stay and want to play and win championships. So maybe that's the real villain. Maybe the revenue sports are the real villain.
I mean, that's very possible. That's very possible. But also, I don't think that we have underperformed massively as a conference in terms of.
I mean, according to national media, we're terrible. Like, what are you talking about?
But I think that that's very much so overblown, right? Like, what are we doing here in terms of, the revenue sports were terrible. Okay, sure. So basketball, how many times have we had an all ACC Final Four game, 3 years ago? 2 years ago. And then after that, we had an ACC team make the Final Four back to back. Like, what are we, you know what I mean? Or, that's one team's performance. It doesn't matter. Okay, the ACC Big Ten Challenge. What happened last year?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we won the year before that too, but I could be incorrect there. But I'm fairly certain we won the year before as well. Like, we're showing up, winning games and whatnot, doing positive things. We talk about all of the different teams and what they have going on or whatnot. At the end of the day, I'm looking at this thing and saying, you can talk all you want about, the SEC is terrible, they're god awful, and they've been so bad that they would be considered the villain. I don't really see that. I think that this is a situation where, to me, if there is, so I'll say this: if there's a villain, who was our last commissioner?
John Swafford?
Yeah. To me, Swafford is the guy. He's the villain. He's the one, because those Raycom deals were like.
But I also feel like Jim Phillips is a little complicit in wanting to go so hard for football and trying to turn the page too hard, too fast, knowing that we're mainly a basketball conference and trying to put all in and not really having a plan and sort of selling us Notre Dame, I've had conversations, blah, blah, blah. Shove it. I'm not sure. Why would Notre Dame leave? You know what I mean? They're half in, half out. Let's stop playing this silly dance with them.
Yeah, I mean, they have.
He's also complicit. Sorry to cut you off, but he's also complicit in the alliance thing that they tried to do over the pandemic with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. That ain't got nothing to do with Swafford.
But that alliance thing, we all knew.
We didn't all know. Some of us were excited about it.
Remember when the alliance hit? We had that round table of all of these different ACC schools. And what did I say on that show? I remember Drizzy Drake was there, and I said, and we were talking about the fact that he was a lawyer, and I said, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a man who's seen enough business deals go down to know the way that these things work out. If there's no moolah behind this will not last. This will last for all of a day or two. And when I asked what the numbers were and found out that there were no numbers behind it, I immediately knew, this is as good as, this is handshakes and hugs. And handshakes and hugs they never count in business. Yep. They never count. I like you doesn't count in business. It's what you get written down that says, you're going to owe me if you do this. You're going to owe me if you do this. That's what makes it. For example, Arizona tea, stand $1 for forever. I appreciate Arizona and keeping their products so cheap for so long. Love it. They don't do any advertising. You know why? Because word of mouth gets them where they need to go. Because they have went quadruple diamond in record sales in the hood. You understand? They don't need to do all of the Super Bowl ads and all that. It's Arizona iced tea. They don't need that. But I know that it probably won't be $1 for forever, because what's keeping it $1? Their folks said, well, we're going to try our hardest to keep it $1 for as long as we can. So there's nothing legally binding you. That's different than, hey, I'm the owner of this company. I made my kids sign a contract that says we will keep our product $1 in perpetuity. It's different. That's,
I hear you. All that to say, when the rubber meets the road, when it all comes down to it, there are certain teams that are going to be able to move and shake a little bit easier than others. I think somebody's going to come out of the woodworks and be like, "Ooh, got y'all!" Like y'all thought we were sitting back and not doing anything, but we were plotting and planning like a chess move, and come out and be like, "Yeah, here we go," and shake things up for real. So I foresee that happening, whether it's a Duke or Georgia Tech, who are in the AAU, whether it's a Miami, who pretty much has told us without telling us, like, listen, our brand needs to be bigger than this. Whether it's a Florida State, who doesn't end up in the Big Ten, but something like the SEC, like those are more obvious ones. But maybe like a Pitt, I see kind of surprising people when it's all said and done.
Hey, listen, all the schools that you mentioned, they're Power 5 universities. They got some money on them. They got some money. They don't have $100 million to give away.
Oh, well, yeah, of course not. Not only that, they don't have it to give away, but they also don't want to give up their games that they're still going to have to give up with ESPN because of the real ironclad granted rights deals.
Yeah. So. At the end of the granted rights, I'm sure, as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, I am sure that we will see multiple teams that decide, this ain't it. Just say, hey, it's been real. Y'all be safe. Y'all be safe now. And who knows how the landscape of college football could change between now and then.
That's true.
Who knows? But what I will say is this. The reality is these schools, the alliance did not work because there was no mullahs behind it. There was no dineros. There was no greenbacks, no yen, no pounds, no euros. There was none of that behind it. None of that behind it. The grant of rights, there's a ton of it. There's a ton of it. So much of it, if you put it on the elevator, you probably wouldn't be able to go up or down safely.
Whew, one can dream. All right, we have to switch gears here because this is Hot Topic Tuesday. We don't want to stay on one topic. We want to give y'all topics throughout the summertime, and we know that this one is a good one. We're talking about AAU, because I hope this young man is on the circuit right now, trying to recruit and figure out ways that he's going to make year two better than year one. Kenny Payne out of Louisville, the head coach who had an abysmal first year, one of the worst ever in college basketball history, in my opinion. He trying to, right the ship, doesn't want to, get rid of the staff, trying to make adjustments. Who was our guy that we had to free Ellis? He found himself a new home, not in the ACC, but still one that could help him prosper. I think it's Arkansas is where he's going to now. And, when you look at Kenny Payne and what he's going to do for this program and how we're talking about, ACC, SEC challenge this year, we're talking about maybe getting a couple more teams in the Elite Eight Final Four for men's basketball. How essential will Kenny Payne's year two be, considering how much people put into bracketology, Ken Palm, and all of that good stuff?
The question here is very simply, how good are those transfers going to be?
Yeah.
Because the roster is virtually completely reconstructed. And I'll tell you this, not many people think a ton of Kenny Payne's transfer portal class right now.
Yeah.
Some people do, some people don't, whatever the case may be. I mean, it kind of is what it is. But I'm going to tell you this. The reality is it doesn't matter what everybody outside of that building thinks. It matters what they can put on the court. That's it. That's all. And that's all there is to it. Can they go ahead and put some great things on that court? Because if not, I don't think that Louisville sits around for 2 years of what we saw last year, or even a year of what we saw last year and something even close to that. I don't think they sit around through that.
They have to win 10 games. Kenton, they have to win 10 games. Have to.
No, and that's my point. But I don't think 10 games is enough. I honestly don't think
in year two, I think they have to win 10. That gets you like a okay.
I think they need to at least flirt with the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying they got to get in.
In year two?
I'm saying they got to flirt with it.
In year two?
Yeah.
They won 4 games last year, Kenton.
But see, we're letting 1 year distract us from the bigger picture. This is Louisville basketball we're looking at.
Okay.
Like, this is not
so you don't give no people time? You say you need a year's worth of insane transformation?
I'm not, listen, this is not me, and I'm not saying I have a
source. It is you.
Here.
It's out your mouth. It's out your mouth. It is.
This is what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me finish. I'm not saying I have a source here that's telling me this. So I'm saying that this is 100% speculation.
This is 100% you.
100% me, and 100% what I think and how that fan base is acting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you have a oh, we went from 4 wins to 10. We're good with that. We're good with that. I don't think so.
Okay,
With
4
how
to
quickly
15.
with how quickly we have seen turnarounds in college basketball because of the transfer portal, I don't think that fan bases now more than ever, fan bases are very much so. We live in a microwave world. We don't want to cook it in the oven no more. Everything needs to be, I want to put it in and be ready in 3 minutes. I don't want to take my time and cook things slow and take years and years and years to get things right, especially not for a basketball program that has traditionally been good.
So they have to win at least 18, 19, 20 games to flirt with the tournament. You on that ooh-wee. Okay, got it. Heard you. Look,
Okay.
heard you. Heard
Okay.
you.
All right.
Heard you.
Listen,
Nope.
I didn't say they have to get in. I didn't say that they have to be like right on the
Listen.
bubble. I didn't say they have to be right on the bubble. I'm saying that they have to
What
be a
is
team.
flirting?
To me, at a certain point in time, people say we could see it. Like that's what, like, oh yeah, this could potentially be NCAA tournament team. They get a few things go right for them down the stretch. This could be a NCAA tournament team. You cannot get away with from start to finish. People are just like, I mean, yeah, they get a win here and there, but
Nah, you're a numbers man. How many games do they need to win for you to think Kenny keeps that job? No questions asked.
I'd agree with the number of 15. I'd agree with 15 plus. I don't think he keeps that job with 10 wins. I just don't.
10 or less.
10 or less, I think he's out. But that's, again, fully speculation. I could be wrong. They could keep him after a 9-win season.
What if they're hard fought losses? Like you see effort with the team.
Congratulations on the moral victory. And, we'll see effort with the team. And Kenny Payne will see a buyout, probably. He'll see a buyout.
Well, hell, you ain't gonna see no buyout if he tries to be the Magnificent Seven, and Louisville was arguably the 18 that was gonna succeed. Y'all can't afford that.
I mean, I don't think that Louisville, again, you're playing chicken with a Mack truck with nothing but spit, grit, and gumption. Good for you, but I mean, this is not gonna end well for you, buddy.
All right. I think that he stays if they get 12 wins. 12 or more.
I mean, 12 and 15 are very close numbers. Like
That's a big difference. And he has to not get eliminated in the first round of the ACC tournament. Let's not even talk about the NCAA tournament. Just the ACC tournament.
I mean, 10 to 15 is a big difference. That's a big difference. 12 to 15, you're in the same ballpark.
Okay.
Because if 12 to 15 is a big deal, then 15 to 18 is a big deal.
I personally think they go. I think 10 is gonna keep him in.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it. I doubt it. If this Louisville team wins just 10 games next year,
for his sake, and you know how I feel about them, I want him to succeed.
Listen, that man, I don't wish failure or success on any of these coaches. It's great to see them do their thing, but
I ain't gonna say what I want to say because you know how they get on this show. But all I'm saying is 10 and in.
I
Come
doubt
on,
it.
Kenny. Don't make me look crazy.
I doubt. Listen, it ain't Kenny. You got to talk to the AD. Hey, listen, keep him after 10, please. This is my guy, please.
I also think it depends on how the football team does. Because the football team's stinking, we can hide it a little bit better. It's like, oh, well, we stinking too. Like, we all stinking. It is what it is. Okay.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. If you're an AD, right? Mm-hmm. And you're looking up and you're saying like, boy, we were a once proud team in this regard. And now we are absolutely like stinking. We're absolutely kicking rocks as a team here. Mm-hmm. And then another team that has traditionally been middling or better is also stinking. You think that this is going to make you say, I have more patience for everyone instead of I'm about to go scorched earth. All of y'all are about to get fired. All of y'all, got 2 to 3 years tops, and then you're fired.
You don't get to be the AD by making rash, emotional decisions.
Okay. I'll tell you this. Brown and company, he's got some years under his belt because people have loved him from the day that they made that hire, people have been on the Brom train. Mm-hmm. They have immediately.
They were on the Kenny train until they saw that season. So, oh boy, oh Lord, what are we in for?
And I'm gonna tell you, you don't get that long of a leash. Sometimes it's different.
No, say it with your chest.
That long of a leash.
Say it with your chest now. Okay.
You don't. But I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. A year that's as bad as what Kenny had last year destroys a longer leash because people like you. You can't have a year where you're statistically rated as one of the worst Power 6 teams ever in terms of KenPom, and like everybody's just like
they were right there in game. They're gonna turn it around, Jesus.
Okay, listen, more power to you. Mm-hmm. Moral victories do not do much for teams. It'll do much for coaches. Those things will have you accepting the buyout and saying, "Hey, it's been real. It's been fun, y'all. I may come back as an assistant in 10 years, or 5 years or 3 years, but I got to get up out of here right now. I ain't gonna be here," in the words of Magic Johnson.
We gonna see. All right, guys, we always enjoy Hot Topic Tuesday. Make sure, again, next Monday, you are going to see a question go out on our YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe so you know and you see it, you get that reminder. Send us what you want to talk about. We have a lot of things to discuss over this summer, 3 days a week, but make sure that you catch up on all of our episodes, get you ready for football season. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs. Until next.